Hello, everybody. Wolfang here. Today's Tuesday, November the 25th. 2 more days till Turkey Day, or whatever you're eating. I don't know. I think everybody pretty much eats turkey. I know there's some people that don't like turkey, but I don't know. But we're not having turkey. We're having chicken. I think I said that in my video the other day. With it just my wife and I, we can't do a whole turkey. So, but anyway, I already said that. I'm just repeating myself. So I hope everybody had a good Tuesday. Man, it rained. It was rainy and foggy this morning. It made a fun trip into work. Actually, on the highway, there were 2 accidents. One on both sides. One on the right-hand side, it was 2 tractor trailers, and then maybe 500 yards up the road, or I should say up the highway, on the left-hand side, there was an accident. So I made it on time, though. But I know how the people drive here in Cincinnati. So I did leave like 5 minutes early. Whether it's rain or snow, it's guaranteed somebody's going to screw up and there's going to be an accident. And sometimes it's not your fault. But especially with like the rain this morning and watching how fast people drive down the highway, it's like, you ever heard of the word hydroplaning? So, today's spam report is about Pardon My Turkey. So let me share a little history of how this whole thing started. Let me click here. All right. So the story goes, the presidential turkey pardon. The first presidential turkey pardon may have occurred in 1863 when President Abraham Lincoln's son, Tad, begged his father to write a presidential pardon for the live turkey brought to the White House in December. The bird was intended for the Lincoln family's Christmas dinner. If this father-son conversation took place, then we can be assured that the turkey was spared. Lincoln doted on his sons, and they usually got their way. Ted was said to have named the turkey Jack and taught the bird to follow him around the White House grounds. Wow. How the turkey pardon came about. After World War II, food shortages were still a problem in Europe, and the U.S. was trying to help. Americans were encouraged to conserve food. In the autumn of 1947, President Truman called on Americans to refrain from eating meat on Tuesdays and poultry and eggs on Thursday. This would help the U.S. government stockpile more food that could then be sent to starving citizens in post-World War II Europe. But the Poultry and Egg Board and the Turkey Federation took issue with this. If everyone gave up poultry for Thanksgiving, the market for the birds would crash. To protest, they started throwing eggs. No, I'm kidding. To protest, the Poultry Board sent crates of live chickens, hens for Harry, to the White House in protest. In 1948, Truman softened his stance. He accepted 2 turkeys from the National Turkey Federation, remarking that one would be eaten for Thanksgiving and the other saved for Christmas dinner. Though Truman never pardoned a turkey, he was the first to make receiving a turkey an occasion. After suffering the bad publicity from the Hens for Harry campaign, he needed to demonstrate that Trumans would enjoy turkey that year. Of course, this pleased growers and organizations that wanted publicity for the items donated. The first official pardon. We may have to jump forward to 1963 for official pardon. The White House Historical Association website wrote that in 1963, President Kennedy sent the turkey received from the National Turkey Federation back to the farm where it came from. He must have done so just days before he and the First Lady departed for Dallas. When Nixon came into the White House, he participated in the traditional ceremony of receiving the turkey, but then he sent those turkeys off to a petting zoo. There was no official pardon given. The tradition of the official pardon was started by President George H.W. Bush. On November the 14th, 1989, he announced that the bird had been granted a presidential pardon as of right now. The turkey went off to live on a farm in Virginia. Disney and the turkey pardon. In 2005, there was a new twist. The Walt Disney Company, in honor of their 50th anniversary, approached the National Turkey Federation. Disney executives pitched the Federation the idea of taking the pardoned turkeys to Disneyland to serve as grand marshals of the Disneyland parade. After the parade, the turkeys would be given a home in an enclosure in Frontierland near Santa's Reindeer Roundup. The Federation thought the Disney plan was excellent. Disney provided first-class tickets on United Airlines for the two turkeys, as well as some of the Federation executives. Reports were that the turkeys really did travel in first-class cabin, a bit in cages. No one would have complained because the rest of the passengers in first class were either Disney or Turkey Federation executives. The connection with Disney lasted until 2009, and the birds were either sent to Disneyland or Disney World. Recent pardons. Since that time, the turkeys have been spared such long trips. They are sent to farms closer to Washington. One year, President Obama threatened to eat the turkeys awaiting pardon. But of course, he was just teasing his daughters. But he also noted, I'm told President Eisenhower and Johnson actually ate their birds. You can't fault them for that. These are good-looking birds. But perhaps the best quote from former President Obama was this: there are certain days that remind me of why I ran for this office. And then there are moments like this when I pardon a turkey and send it to Disneyland. More recently, the turkeys have been spared such long trips. Initially, the turkeys were given a home at Mount Vernon's educational farm. But then someone pointed out that in colonial times, no turkey would ever grow as big as the turkeys of today. They now are sent to farms that are closer by. Not fated for a long life. Because the birds are bred to be eaten, they are generally overweight and do not necessarily last much more than a year after their pardon. Peach and Blossom are the two turkeys pardoned by President Joe Biden in 2024. Peach and Blossom. Aren't they just good looking birds there? So there you go. So the pardons actually didn't start until 1963. Huh. Who would have thunk, right? I kind of enjoyed that story. And like I've said, when I do a report, I should read some of them first, but I just like to go with it. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is Wolfang. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday and a great week. And I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving dinner, or just having the day off if you have the day off. Just enjoying it. So, blessed be. Oh, wait a minute. One last thing. Prayers go out to Cat Without a Hat and his brother and their families. That's some really sad news, especially during the holidays, man. That's fucking rough. No other way to put it. But our prayers are with the families. Blessed be, stay safe, and I'll bullshit with y'all later. Bye.